The Las Vegas Raiders traded Jakorian Bennett to the Philadelphia Eagles in exchange for defensive tackle Thomas Booker. My name is Mitchell Renz. Y'all are watching the Raiders Report, and I want you to let me know down below, who do you think ended up winning this deal? If you think it's the Raiders, type LV. If you think it's the Philadelphia Eagles, I want you to type PHI, because coming up here on today's show, I am going to tell you why the Las Vegas Raiders traded for Thomas Booker and why they decided to move on from Jakorian Bennett. I sat back, I really thought about this deal for multiple hours before I went to bed, and I'm very confident when you get done watching this video, you're going to be happy that the Raiders went out and traded for Booker. Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report, and I want to jump right into why the Raiders decided to move on from Jakorian Bennett. He was somebody that was drafted in the 4th round out of Maryland by that old regime. Josh McDaniels, Dave Ziegler had to deal with a brand new regime last season. Quite frankly, I thought he was the best corner on this team last season. Now he's going into the 3rd year. Now he's got another brand new regime that he's got to learn, and this defense is a lot different this year compared to what the defense was last season. Let's go to the first reason, though, of why the Raiders decided to move on from him. He was cornerback 4 at best. He was behind Eric Stokes, Jakorian Richardson, Darian Porter. He was behind all of these players. And depending on who you talk to, he might have also been behind J.T. Woods, a Raiders safety / cornerback hybrid that the team decided to sign just in the past few weeks. So knowing that Bennett was going to be at best cornerback 4, that's one of the very first reasons. Let's go to the next reason of why the deal ended up happening. He doesn't fit Pete's mold of what he's looking for in a corner. Pete Carroll wants long, lanky, athletic guys. Is Jakorian athletic? Yes, no doubt about it. But from a height standpoint, from a wingspan standpoint, from an arm length standpoint, he doesn't quite fit. So here are the Raiders' top 4 corners, and then obviously Bennett. First, the number you see is height. Eric Stokes, Darian Porter, Jakorian Richardson, J.T. Woods, all over 6'1". Jakorian, 5'11". Then you look at the arm length. Stokes, Porter, Richardson, Woods have all over 32-inch arms, which might not sound like a big of a difference, but when you're somebody that's really trying to take up as much field as humanly possible, and you think that your system, your scheme, is predicated on having these guys that are longer, lankier, because it's what you coach up, you might just need that type of player. And also, maybe Jakorian just wasn't fitting in this defense the way that he did last season because it is so different. Let's go to the next reason here of why the Raiders decided to move on. Injury concerns. This team wants to play a physical brand of football, and also the best ability is availability. And everybody up here knows that Bennett is a talented player, but he did miss 10 games last season with a torn labrum. And that labrum bothered him where that shoulder would pop out a bunch, and I talked about it on Monday night when I was kind of discussing about the Raiders trade. I know a few people that have played sports that have had the amount of shoulder injuries that they've had. Their shoulder pops out all the time, which is really difficult for running. It's really difficult for PBUs. It's really difficult for a corner that has had the amount of shoulder issues that he's had. He's had shoulder issues dating back all the way back to college. With torn labrums, shoulder injuries, and corners, they can continue to pop up. And I wonder if the Raiders thought Thomas Booker's got a better shot at helping us out this season and staying healthy than Jakorian Bennett does. And then the final reason is Bennett's not physical enough, I think, with the injury history that he has, with the size that he has, to go out and play the style of defense that the Raiders are going to run. Patrick Graham and Pete Carroll typically run very different defenses. And what you're seeing right now and early in this offseason and training camp is kind of a blend of PG's system and Pete Carroll's system, and they're blending them all up. I also wonder if the Raiders really thought so confident in their outside guys, and I almost wonder if they were trying to put Jakorian in on the inside. And because Jakorian's probably not physical enough to be able to play on the inside, and guys like Greedy Vance are, that also could have been a contributing factor to why the Raiders decided to move on from Jakorian Bennett and send him to Philadelphia. Now, here's one thing I always got promised for. I have commitment to excellence. If y'all have commitment to excellence, hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications. I'll give you an example. If you pulled up to last night's live Monday night show and you were partying with us for the whole hour, 70 minutes, 80 minutes, however long it was, when you saw that breaking news happen, if you're like, I want to go talk to the nation about it, to me, that's commitment to excellence as an audience member here on the Raiders Report. Other people that decided to show up last night and make the show a lot of fun. I got to give a shout out to Bayou, Cass Joey, Jonathan Martinez, our top 3 XP getters during that live show. XP is a brand new feature on YouTube, and I plan on using it a lot this upcoming season. And I plan on showing love to the people that show love to me as often as humanly possible. So if you got commitment to excellence, hit that subscribe button, because it doesn't matter when breaking news happens. I'm going to keep you up to date, even if I'm sitting on the couch with my wife and my dog at 8:30 at night. Raiders breaking news happen. I'm allowed to get to the studio. Hell, my wife even drove me here. Why? She understands how much I love y'all, and she understands that I want to be able to talk to you when breaking news happens. Coming up next here on the show, this is why the Raiders traded for Thomas Booker IV. And you're going to see all the reasons why I have outlined, and I really do honestly think you're going to get why the Raiders decided to dot some I's, why they decided to cross some T's. Speaking of T's, T-shirt, jersey, I don't know if it's a segue. If you need a brand new Raiders jersey, they are on sale, and they're not going to be on sale forever. Go to chatsports.com/Raiders jerseys. And the cool part about that link, which, you know what? I'll go there right now. Chatsports.com/Raiders jerseys. If you want to go to the same spot I am, we can look together. I'm looking right now at some of these jersey deals. If you need a custom jersey, you can actually save about $35 on a custom jersey, which I'm looking at right now. If you need, wow, they have a Max Crosby jersey on here for $99, under $100. That's insane. They have a Max Crosby white jersey, the really sick color rush ones. Oh, man, that's not even a youth. It's a normal jersey. $80. That's unbelievable. That might be the best deal on here. I see a Brock Bowers jersey for $80. I see there's another youth jersey. Dude, I'll tell you what, man. There is some insane Tim Brown jersey on sale for $26. Howie Long for $26. Jim Plunkett for $26. $26 off. Yeah, sorry. $26 off. Chug's like, only $26? If you do want a Hunter Renfrow jersey, you can get one for less than $60. Geno Smith jersey, $26 off. Jackson Powers Johnson, $26 off. Fred Belindikoff, $26 off. Cliff Branch, dude, I'll tell you this right now. I've been doing this show for a long time. Art Shell, Al Alzado, Marcus Allen, Jim Otto. Raider Ron, I know you're a big Jim Otto fan. The amount of jerseys that they have on sale right now, it is more A.J. Cole, Colton Miller, Richard Seymour. I'm just listing names here. Willie Brown. They also have dad jerseys. Ken Stabler, Jim Plunkett. I think you can already understand the amount of Raider jerseys that are on sale at chatsports.com/Raiders jerseys. It's going to blow your mind. If you need a jersey and you want one and you've been waiting, I hope that you realize that now is the perfect time to go get yourself a jersey. This link is going to be available down in the comments and down in the description of today's show, probably like in the second or third paragraph. Go check it out. Get yourself a Raiders jersey before the season starts. All right, let's get into the next part here of this show of why the Raiders decided to go out and trade for Booker. The first reason, I think that this is another Christian Wilkins replacement. And I think the Raiders have shown you that we're not going to be able to replace Wilkins body for body. But if we can replace Wilkins with maybe somebody like a Keandre Coburn, who's 6'3", 330 pounds, and then you also add somebody like Thomas Booker, who is a little bit smaller, but still a very explosive athlete at that defensive tackle position, I almost wonder if they're like, well, 2 throws at the dartboard is better than 1. And for a team that's not trying to go out and overspend, I think by going out and finding another Wilkins replacement, they are confident in the overall defensive tackle depth that they are building. Let's go to the next reason here. This was the one that really was kind of the light bulb went off in my head. Lucky Fotu showed up to practice on Tuesday, August 5th in a walking boot. And when I hear walking boot, you're crazy to not think instantly of, obviously, Wilkins. But Fotu was somebody that the Raiders were using to fill in for Wilkins when he was first, not able to go out there and able to practice. So the fact that the Raiders, I think, personally view that Fotu, Butler, Lalu, and Wilkins were their top 4 defensive tackles, and now they might be without 2 of those guys. I think the Raiders said, Jakorian Bennett's a good player, but Thomas Booker is going to be able to help us out more at defensive tackle and be able to help out our defense more than what Jakorian Bennett would have been able to help out our defense overall. Let's go to the next reason of why you end up doing this deal. You got to believe in Rob Leonard. Rob Leonard is the Raiders defensive line coach. He is one of the most respected defensive minds in the NFL. And for a player like Booker, who there's some upside here, and you want players with upside to be paired with great coaches, to be paired with a Leonard, to be paired with a Patrick Graham. This is what Lance Zierlein had to say on Booker when he was first coming out of the NFL draft. Defensive tackle with pretty good flashes, but a lack of consistency that can be frustrating to watch. That sounds like a player that would be great with Rob Leonard. Booker has a thick frame, pretty good upper body power, but is unable to plant a post leg and hold his ground against edge pressure or double teams. That sounds like a technique. That's great for Rob Leonard. He's a decent athlete with some rush potential and could be a rotational player for a team employing multiple fronts. The Raiders are going to be a team that employ multiple fronts, and they're going to be a team that uses 5-2. They're going to be a team that uses 4-3. And Booker's job is going to be able to go out there and just help everybody else around him. I also went back and I started to watch a little bit more film last night. I tried to, reach out to some people that cover the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm not saying that the comparison to Adam Butler was made, but when I heard people talk about Booker of having a very quick first step, being a player that can get underneath tackles, that can really surprise people, it reminded me a lot of what I heard about somebody like Adam Butler. And that's what I'm hoping Thomas Booker turns into, a player just like Adam Butler. Coming up here, though, again, the Raiders' connection to Thomas Booker, because when a deal like this goes down, the first thing that I always think of is, all right, well, what exactly is the coaching connection? What exactly is the connection to the Raiders? And yesterday when I first broke it down, I mentioned one connection. There's actually 2. And I'll tell you what those 2 connections are here in a moment. But if anybody's trying to hang out with me on August 22nd, it's a Friday, the day right before the Raiders' final preseason game up against the Arizona Cardinals, I'm going to be out in Tucson, Arizona. I'm going to be at Desert Shark Tucson. If you need some poke, if you need a bento box, I am going to crush some food. And if you want to have some drinks, you want to have some food, you want to talk a little bit of Raiders with me, you better show up. I'm going to be there from noon to 3 guaranteed. But the more people that show up, the longer I'm going to stay there. So if you know Raiders fans in Tucson, Arizona, tell them to show up and show out. If we get over 100 people there, I'll be there all day. I don't give a shit. I'll hang out. I'm not afraid to hang out and have a good time. The address right here, the destination, Desert Shark Tucson. The owner, you maybe have heard of him, Fabian Moreno, a.k.a. the Night Devil. I want y'all to go support him, and I also want to be able to go out and meet a bunch of people. So if you could, put this in your calendar, set a reminder. Let's go have some food. Let's go support one of our own, and let's be able to chat about the Raiders together. I'm pretty down. Can't wait. Let's go to the next reason here. The Philadelphia connection. And the Philadelphia connection is why I think ultimately this deal ended up going down. And you got to look at the front office, because the Raiders did 2 things this offseason that I talked about, and I said, really smart move by the Raiders, both of them, both front office connections. The first one is the Raiders went out and they hired a guy by the name of Anthony Patch. Anthony Patch was considered the right-hand man to Howie Roseman. He's now the Raiders' senior personnel executive, and he comes from Philadelphia. Also, the Raiders ended up hiring, who right now is our VP of player personnel, Brandon Hunt, who also comes from Philadelphia. I think because both of those guys were tied to that Philadelphia Eagles organization and were very prominent figures in terms of senior director of draft personnel, senior director of college scouting, and that's what those 2 guys did. That's probably somebody that said, you know what? There's a lot of value that's been untapped with Thomas Booker. Not because he's not a good player, but because they've had so much defensive line, so much defensive tackle depth on that roster that he hasn't really been able to get his chance to shine. And I think now he's going to get his opportunity to go out there and he's going to be able to shine. Let's go to the final reason here. And again, it's what the Raiders are trying to build for the long haul. He was a team captain at Stanford, not with the Philadelphia Eagles, but a team captain at Stanford. 3-year starter and a captain. The Las Vegas Raiders this past year, out of the 11 players that they ended up drafting, 9 of those 11 were team captains. You heard Pete Carroll talk about commitment to excellence. If the Raiders want to be able to build this thing the right way, they want guys that love football. They want leaders on and off the field, and that's what I want. It's probably what y'all want as well. So the fact that he's got all these ties, the fact that he's going to be able to help replace Wilkins, the fact that he was a team captain, a stand-up human being, all of those reasons there are why the Raiders decided to move off from Jakorian Bennett and go out and get Thomas Booker. And I want Raider fans to look at it like this. If you believe in Pete Carroll and you believe in this regime, I want you to believe in this trade. But I also want you to look at it instead of going Jakorian Bennett, Thomas Booker straight up. Do I think Jakorian has more value player to player? Yes, I do. But do I think Jakorian Bennett on this cornerback room is more valuable than Thomas Booker on this defensive tackle room? I do not. And it's because of the way that these players are going to be used, and it's because this team values the trenches, and I think that they know they need extra help in the trenches. If you're losing in the trenches, you're going to lose in the secondary, and the Raiders prioritize a player in the trenches over a player in the secondary. For that reason, that is why the Raiders decided to make this trade.